Hey guys, welcome to Relationship Stories with Story Slices, where we slice through the best Reddit tales just for you. Let's dive right into the first story. The first one is the Tittle story, and it starts like this. I never thought I'd be writing one of these posts, but here I am. It's been a wild ride, and I need to get this off my chest. So buckle up, because this is going to be a long one. I'm a 38-year-old police officer named Mike, and I've been on the force for over 15 years. I love my job, but my real passion has always been classic cars. Ever since I was a kid, I've been fascinated by vintage automobiles. As I grew older and started earning a decent salary, I began collecting and restoring them. It's been my hobby, my stress relief, and my pride and joy. Over the years, I've managed to acquire 5 beautiful vintage cars. A 1967 Ford Mustang Fastback, a 1969 Chevrolet Camaro SS, a 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air, a 1965 Pontiac GTO, a 1970 Dodge Challenger RT. I kept them all in pristine condition, stored in a large garage on my property. These weren't just cars to me, they were pieces of history, works of art that I'd poured my heart and soul into restoring and maintaining. Now enter Karen. Karen is my next-door neighbor, a 45-year-old woman who moved in about 2 years ago. From day one, she's been a thorn in my side, always complaining about something: the noise from my garage when I'm working on the cars, the occasional visitors I have over to admire the collection, even the color of my house. You name it, she's had a problem with it. I tried to be a good neighbor, I really did. I'd wave hello, keep the noise down after 8 p.m., and even helped her carry groceries a few times. But nothing seemed to please her. She'd always find something new to complain about. One day, about 6 months ago, Karen stormed over to my house while I was washing the Mustang in my driveway. "Mike," she shouted, her face red with anger, "I've had enough of these eyesores. When are you going to get rid of these old junkers?" I was taken aback. "Excuse me?" I replied, trying to keep my cool. "These aren't junkers, Karen. They're classic cars, and they're my hobby." She scoffed. "Hobby? More like an obsession. They're taking up space and lowering our property values. Nobody wants to live next to a junkyard." I took a deep breath. "Karen, I understand you might not appreciate classic cars, but these vehicles are worth a lot of money and are part of automotive history. They're well maintained and stored properly. They're not affecting property values." "Well, I think they're ugly and dangerous," she snapped. "What if they leak oil or gasoline? What if they attract thieves to our neighborhood? You're a police officer. You should know better." I tried to explain that I took all necessary precautions, that the cars were insured, and that they posed no danger to anyone. But Karen wasn't having it. She stormed off, yelling over her shoulder, "Mark my words, Mike, those cars won't be here forever." I brushed off her threat as just another one of her tantrums. Little did I know how prophetic those words would turn out to be. Fast forward to about a month ago. I was on duty when I got into a pretty serious car accident while responding to a call. A drunk driver T-boned my patrol car at an intersection. I was rushed to the hospital with multiple fractures, internal bleeding, and a severe concussion. I spent 2 weeks in the hospital, drifting in and out of consciousness. My family visited often, but I wasn't really in any state to communicate or make decisions. It was a tough time, and honestly, a lot of it is still a blur. When I was finally released from the hospital, I was still pretty out of it. The doctors had me on strong pain medication, and I was wheelchair-bound due to my injuries. My sister, Sarah, offered to let me stay with her family while I recovered, since I couldn't really take care of myself yet. I agreed, thinking it would only be for a week or two. Sarah lived about an hour away from my place, so I wasn't too worried about leaving my house unattended for a short while. I had a security system, and my partner on the force, Dave, promised to drive by every couple of days to check on things. The first week at Sarah's went by in a haze of pain meds and physical therapy sessions. I was slowly starting to feel more like myself, but I was still a long way from being able to return home or to work. It was during this second week that I got the call that would turn my world upside down. I was sitting in Sarah's living room, trying to focus on a book, when my phone rang. It was Dave? "Hey Mike," he said, his voice sounding hesitant. "How are you feeling, buddy?" "Getting there," I replied. "Still sore as hell, but the doc says I'm making progress. What's up?" There was a pause on the other end of the line. "Mike, I don't know how to tell you this, but I just drove by your place and your garage is empty." I felt my heart skip a beat. "What do you mean, empty?" "I mean empty, Mike. The cars are gone? All of them?" I sat up straight, ignoring the pain that shot through my body. "That's impossible. The garage was locked. The security system was on." "Are you sure?" "I'm sure, Mike. I even went inside to check. The garage door was open, and there's not a single car in there." "I'm so sorry, man." My mind was reeling. This couldn't be happening. Those cars were my life's work, my passion. They were worth hundreds of thousands of dollars collectively. How could they just disappear? "Dave," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, "I need you to file a report right now. Those cars were stolen. Check with the neighbors, see if anyone saw anything suspicious." "Already on it," Dave replied. "I'll keep you updated. Just try to stay calm, okay? We'll figure this out." But how could I stay calm? My prized possessions, my babies, were gone. I felt sick to my stomach. As soon as I hung up with Dave, I called my insurance company to report the theft. Then I started making calls to local classic car dealerships and collectors, asking them to keep an eye out for my vehicles. For the next few days, I was a mess. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Sarah was worried sick about me, but I couldn't focus on anything except getting my cars back. Dave kept me updated on the investigation, but there wasn't much to go on. No signs of forced entry, no fingerprints, no witnesses. It was about a week after the initial discovery that things took an even stranger turn. I was on the phone with Dave, discussing the case, when he suddenly went quiet. "Mike," he said slowly, "I think I might have a lead, but you're not going to like it." "What is it? What is it?" I asked, my heart racing. "I just got off the phone with Bob down at Rusty's salvage yard. He says a woman brought in 5 classic cars about 3 weeks ago. Sold them for scrap." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Scrap? She sold my cars for scrap? Who was this woman? Dave hesitated before answering. "Bob's description. It sounds a lot like your neighbor, Karen." In that moment, I saw red. "Karen? Karen?" Of course it was Karen. Her words came flooding back to me. "Mark my words, Mike. Those cars won't be here forever." "Dave," I said, my voice shaking with anger, "I need you to bring Karen in for questioning." "Now?" "Mike, you know I can't do that without evidence," Dave replied. "We need to do this by the book." I knew he was right, but it didn't make me feel any better. "Fine," I said. "Then I'm coming home." "Today? Today?" Sarah tried to talk me out of it, saying I wasn't ready, but I wouldn't listen. I had her drive me back to my house that very afternoon. As we pulled into my driveway, I saw Karen in her front yard, watering her flowers as if she didn't have a care in the world. When she spotted me getting out of the car, with some difficulty, I might add, she had the audacity to wave. "Mike," she called out, all fake sweetness. "So good to see you up and about." We were all so worried. I ignored her, focusing on getting myself and my wheelchair out of the car. Sarah shot Karen a dirty look as she helped me. Once I was settled, I turned to face Karen. "We need to talk," I said, my voice cold. Karen's smile faltered for a moment, but she quickly recovered. "Of course, dear. Would you like to come over for some tea?" "No," I replied. "We're going to talk right here, right now." "Where are my cars, Karen?" Her eyes widened in fake innocence. "Your cars? Why, I haven't the faintest idea what you're talking about." I wheeled closer to her, my eyes never leaving hers. "Cut the crap, Karen. I know you sold my cars to Rusty's salvage yard. What I want to know is why, and how the hell you thought you'd get away with it." Karen's demeanor changed instantly. Her fake smile disappeared, replaced by a look of contempt. "Those rust buckets? I did you a favor, Mike. They were an eyesore and a hazard. While you were in the hospital, I took it upon myself to clean up the neighborhood." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You took it upon yourself? Those were my property, Karen. You had no right." She sneered at me. "Oh please, you were in a coma. For all anyone knew, you might never have woken up. Someone had to do something about those death traps. So you broke into my garage and stole my cars?" I was practically shouting now, not caring who heard. Karen looked around nervously, noticing that a few other neighbors had come out to see what the commotion was about. "I didn't break in," she hissed. "I have a spare key to your house. Remember when you asked me to water your plants last summer? I made a copy." I was stunned. This woman, this entitled, self-righteous woman, had not only stolen my prized possessions but had been planning it for months. "Karen," I said, my voice low and dangerous, "you've admitted to theft and breaking and entering. As a police officer, I'm placing you under citizen's arrest. Sarah, please call Dave and tell him to get over here now." Karen's face went pale. "You can't do that. I was doing what was best for the neighborhood. You can't prove anything." But she was wrong. She had just confessed, and there were witnesses. Within minutes, Dave arrived with another officer. They took our statements and, much to Karen's shock and outrage, placed her in handcuffs. As they were leading her to the patrol car, Karen turned to me, her face a mask of fury. "This isn't over, Mike. You'll regret this." I watched as they drove away, feeling a mix of satisfaction and despair. Karen would face justice, but my beloved cars were still gone, probably crushed into scrap metal by now. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of legal proceedings. Karen was charged with grand theft auto, breaking and entering, and fraud, for selling property that wasn't hers. She tried to plead not guilty, claiming she was acting in the best interest of the community, but the evidence against her was overwhelming. In the end, she accepted a plea deal. She would serve 2 years in prison, pay a hefty fine, and was ordered to pay me restitution for the full value of the cars. But money couldn't replace what I'd lost. Those cars weren't just valuable possessions, they were a part of me, a testament to years of hard work and passion. The thought of them being crushed and melted down was almost too much to bear. That's when Dave came through for me once again. He'd been working tirelessly on the case, going above and beyond to help me. One day, about a month after Karen's arrest, he showed up at my house with a glimmer of hope. "Mike," he said, barely containing his excitement, "I think we might be able to recover your cars." I looked at him in disbelief. How? I thought they'd been scrapped already." Dave shook his head. "That's what we all assumed, but I kept digging. Turns out, Bob at Rusty's has a soft spot for classic cars. When Karen brought them in, he couldn't bring himself to scrap them. He's been holding on to them, hoping to find the rightful owner. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Are you serious? They're still intact? Dave nodded, grinning. Every last one of them. Bob said he knew something was fishy when a middle-aged woman brought in 5 mint-condition classic cars and wanted them scrapped. He played along but kept them safe. He's been helping us with the investigation this whole time. I felt tears welling up in my eyes. My cars, my babies, they were safe. Dave, I said, my voice choked with emotion, I don't know how to thank you. He clapped me on the shoulder. No need to thank me, partner. It's what friends do. Now, how about we go get your cars? The drive to Rusty's salvage yard felt like the longest of my life. When we finally arrived, I saw them, all 5 of my beautiful classic cars, lined up and gleaming in the sunlight. Bob, the owner, was there to greet us. Officer Mike, he said, extending his hand. I can't tell you how glad I am to see these beauties going back to their rightful owner. It's not often we get to save cars like these from the crusher. I shook his hand, feeling overwhelmed with gratitude. Bob, I can't thank you enough for what you've done. You saved more than just cars. You saved a big part of my life. Bob waved off my thanks. It was the right thing to do. Plus, I couldn't stand the thought of these classics being turned into scrap. They don't make them like this anymore. Over the next few hours, we arranged for all 5 cars to be transported back to my home. As I watched them being loaded onto flatbed trucks, I felt a sense of peace washing over me. It was like being reunited with old friends. The story of Karen and the stolen cars spread quickly through our town. To my surprise, many of my neighbors reached out to offer their support and express their outrage at what Karen had done. Some even volunteered to help me reorganize my garage and set up better security measures. In the months that followed, I focused on my recovery, both physical and emotional. The incident had shaken me, but it also reminded me of the good in people. Dave's dedication, Bob's integrity, and the support of my community helped restore my faith in humanity. As for Karen, last I heard, she was still serving her sentence. Her house was put up for sale, and a lovely young couple moved in. They actually appreciated my classic cars and even asked for a tour of my collection. Looking back on this whole ordeal, I've learned a few important lessons. First, never underestimate the lengths some people will go to get what they want. Second, it pays to have good friends and a supportive community. And third, always change your locks when you give someone a spare key. My cars are back where they belong now, safe and sound in my garage. I've installed a state-of-the-art security system, complete with cameras and motion sensors. No one's going to mess with my babies again. To all my fellow classic car enthusiasts out there, cherish your vehicles and protect them. And to everyone else, remember, just because you don't understand someone's passion doesn't give you the right to destroy it. As for me, I'm back on the force, my injuries have healed, and I'm looking forward to many more years of cruising down the highway in my beloved classics. Life is good, and not even a Karen can change that. Update. Alright folks, it's been a while since I last updated you on the whole Karen stealing my cars fiasco, and a lot has happened. I figured it was time to give you all the final rundown on how everything turned out. It's been about a year since I got my cars back, and let me tell you, it's been quite a ride. After the initial excitement of getting my babies home safe and sound, reality started to set in. There was still a lot to deal with. Insurance claims, legal proceedings, and of course the aftermath of Karen's actions. First things first, let's talk about Karen. Remember how she got 2 years in prison? Well, turns out that was just the beginning of her troubles. During her time inside, the prosecutor's office did some digging and found out this wasn't her first rodeo. Apparently, Karen had a history of similar stunts in other neighborhoods she'd lived in. Nothing as big as stealing classic cars, but a pattern of entitled behavior and minor property crimes. This discovery led to additional charges being filed against her. When all was said and done, her 2-year sentence got extended to 5 years. I can't say I'm sorry about that. Actions have consequences, and Karen's finally facing hers. But here's where things get interesting. About 6 months into her sentence, I got a letter from Karen. Yeah, you heard that right. At first, I was tempted to throw it straight in the trash, but curiosity got the better of me. I opened it, and I've got to say I was surprised by what I read. Karen actually apologized. She wrote that being in prison had given her time to reflect on her actions, and she realized how wrong she'd been. She explained that she'd always struggled with feeling in control of her life, and that her entitled behavior was a way of trying to exert that control over others. Now, I'm not saying this excuses what she did, not by a long shot, but it did help me understand her a bit better. She asked for my forgiveness and said she was getting counseling to work on her issues. I sat on that letter for a while, not sure how to respond. In the end, I wrote back. I told her that while I appreciated her apology, forgiveness would take time. I also made it clear that regardless of her reasons, what she did was wrong and illegal, and she needed to face the consequences of her actions. We've exchanged a few more letters since then. I wouldn't say we're friends or anything, but it's been therapeutic in a way. It's helped me process everything that happened and move forward. Now, onto the legal stuff. Remember how Karen was ordered to pay me restitution for the full value of the cars? Well, that turned into a whole thing. Her lawyer tried to argue that since the cars were recovered undamaged, she shouldn't have to pay the full amount. My lawyer, yeah, I had to get one of those, countered that the restitution wasn't just for the potential loss of the cars, but also for the emotional distress, the time and effort spent recovering them, and the violation of privacy and property rights. The judge sided with us. Karen, or rather, her estate, since she's in prison, was ordered to pay the full restitution amount. It's being paid out in installments, and while it's not a fortune, it's definitely helped cover the legal fees and other expenses this whole ordeal caused. But here's the kicker. Remember Bob from Rusty's Salvage Yard? The guy who saved my cars from being scrapped? Well, turns out he's not just a car enthusiast, he's also a bit of a legal eagle. He'd been following my case closely and reached out to me with an interesting proposition. Bob suggested that we use the story of what happened to launch a campaign for stricter laws against property theft and unauthorized sales. He pointed out that while Karen's actions were clearly illegal, the laws around selling property that isn't yours could be tightened up to prevent similar situations in the future. I thought it was a great idea. So for the past few months, Bob and I have been working with a local legislator to draft a bill. We're calling it the Classic Car Protection Act. Catchy, right? The bill would require more stringent verification of ownership for the sale of vehicles over a certain age or value. It would also increase penalties for those who knowingly sell or scrap vehicles they don't own. We've been making the rounds, sharing our story at car shows, community meetings, and even did a spot on the local news. The response has been overwhelming. Turns out, a lot of people have had experiences with entitled neighbors or theft of prized possessions. Our bill is gaining traction, and there's a good chance it'll be up for a vote in the state legislature next session. On a personal note, all this advocacy work has been really fulfilling. It's taken something negative and turned it into a chance to make a real difference. Plus, I've met so many great people in the classic car community. There's talk of starting a local classic car club, with yours truly as the founding president. Who would have thought, right? As for my cars, they're doing great. After everything that happened, I decided to take some extra precautions. I've installed a top-of-the-line security system in my garage, complete with cameras, motion sensors, and direct alerts to my phone. I've also started taking my cars to shows more often. Figure if I'm going to have these beauties, I might as well share them with people who appreciate them, you know? The whole experience has definitely changed me. I'm more cautious now, sure, but I'm also more appreciative of what I have. Every time I take one of my classics out for a spin, I remember how close I came to losing them all. It makes me cherish them even more. I've also become more involved in my community, getting to know my neighbors better, participating in local events, that sort of thing. Turns out, most people aren't Karens. Who knew, right? In fact, the support I've received from my community throughout this whole ordeal has been amazing. It's really restored my faith in people. Work-wise, things are good too. I'm back on full duty, and my experience has made me a better cop, I think. I'm more empathetic to victims of property crime now. I know firsthand how it feels to have something you love taken from you. It's made me more determined than ever to serve and protect my community. So, that's where things stand now. Karen's in prison, learning some hard lessons. I've got my cars back, safe and sound. We're working on changing laws to protect other collectors. And me? I'm doing better than ever. If there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that you can't let the actions of one bad person poison your whole outlook on life. Yeah, what Karen did was awful. But for every Karen out there, there's a Dave who'll have your back, a Bob who'll do the right thing, and a whole community ready to support you. To wrap this up, I want to thank all of you who followed my story and offered your support. Your messages and comments have meant more than you know. And to any other classic car enthusiasts out there, keep loving those beautiful machines. Just maybe invest in a good security system while you're at it. As for me, I've got a car show to prepare for this weekend. My '67 Mustang is going to knock their socks off. Life is good, folks. Don't let anyone tell you different. Are you hungry for more slices of stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to never miss out on any videos. See you tomorrow at Story Slices.